morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. We hope it is good. Welcome to another edition of Geeks Who Like Sports. As always, I am Ray Carcillo in beautiful Los Angeles, California. Joined by my best friend in the entire world over in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Beautiful Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Say it, Ray.
It's all right. It's
beautiful,
not beautiful.
Philadelphia.
It's not beautiful.
You had an earthquake today. Don't tell me it's beautiful in Los Angeles.
Oh, that's right. Actually, we did have an earthquake. That's right. We've been having earthquakes the last couple of days.
I
took a nap. I napped yesterday through our earthquake and was like, at this point, earthquakes are like, oh, the room is shaking. Whatever.
Beautiful Los Angeles, where the earth shakes and not in a good way. Yeah. I'm in Philadelphia, stable Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Well, stable's not a good word either for here now. I'm thinking about it.
No. Have fun with your blizzards in the winter. So
we haven't had blizzard here in years. Give me a break. I'll take a blizzard over an earthquake.
You know what? The earthquake lasts only a couple of minutes.
I'd rather shovel snow than rubble.
We haven't had a rubble
causing Don't do that. Don't do that. What are you doing, Ray? Ray,
it's been 30 years, at least this part of LA.
Yeah. Ray, shut up. Now,
yeah.
this is
let's go, big one, baby. Let's go.
The guy has a 4.5 earthquake. He's like, oh, we haven't had a big one. Like, shut up, man. That might have been the opening choir. Jeez, that was the preamble to what's about to become 2012. Or that movie with The Rock, the San Andreas movie, which was really ridiculous, but it was very rocky. Yeah. Ray, today, we're not doing a DoorDash Dash of the week. We're back to non-sponsors of the week. I'll tell you why.
Oh,
I have a special guest here, Ray. I have a special guest with me today.
Oh?
I have a little baby pool with me here today. Compliments of Regal Cinemas. Ray, not only can baby pool hold a drink, and I'm not going to show you, but there's a place here for this, though. The seat's the drink. But, Ray, it's also a popcorn bucket. I'm going to open it for you. And, Ray, guess what's still inside?
Popcorn.
I'm eating the popcorn from the movies I saw last Friday.
I was going to say stale popcorn.
It's fresh. I'm telling you, it's fresh. It's delicious. All right. But, Ray, look, this baby pool, you might look at this and go, I wouldn't get that. And I was in the theater. I was looking at it. I'm like, I'm not going to get that. And I was looking at it. I was like, nah, I'm not going to get that. And the guy goes, what do you want? I'm like, I'll take a baby pool, please. That's how that went. And I don't regret it because of the show. For those of you watching, you can see it. For those of you listening, you can't. Listen, the craftsmanship on this for a toy, it's really good. I mean, I'm going to put this up to the camera. You can see, like, it's got the gray, what's it called? The texture on him, like the suit texture. Yeah. He's got 2 bottles. He's sitting in a car seat. And on the way home from the theater, Ray, I saw it with our producer, Caitlin, and she just put it in the back seat. Clearly doesn't have kids. I said, you got to put the seatbelt on. Right? Yeah. So we belted them both in. And they got here safely. But baby pool, Regal Cinemas, with your delicious popcorn that does not go stale in the baby pool. I'm going to have a little bit more right now. You are a non-sponsor of the week. Thank you so much.
Oh, goodness. We are going to get into Deadpool and all the other fun stuff later. We have a big show for everybody. We got obviously a handful of announcements out of Comic-Con. We've got more strikes going on. We've got Deadpool and Wolverine is going to lead the geek way. We've got all kinds of TV and video game news.
Was that, did Deadpool and Wolverine come out? Nobody's talking about it. So
nobody's talking about it. I'm just trying to really quickly. I want to look up the box office.
Oh, it's top 10 all-time ever releases, not just rated R.
Yes.
I believe it is the #1 rated R release of all time at this moment.
Yes. I wanted to be sure. I thought that's what it was, but we are in the opening weekend. We're going to get into more of this later, but in the opening weekend, worldwide, just under $500 million. Worldwide, $250 million here in the States alone, and another $250 million worldwide. Yeah, I think a few people went and saw this movie, Lee. I think R-rated Marvel works. Anyway, we're gonna get into that later. Because we're actually going to kick things off with some baseball. Talking baseball, baby. We are talking about things heating up. It's hot so five. Folks, we are 2 hours away.
Piping.
We are 2 hours away from the trade deadline coming to a close, and everybody's making moves. This is one of the most frantic baseball trade deadlines we've seen in a while. Goodness gracious. I mean, there's still tons of rumors going on. The Dodgers have been super hot. The Mets have been hot. The Yankees, the Phillies, the Diamondbacks, Cleveland. A lot of it is clear who is I thought the picture was going to be very muddied, who was going to be buyers and who was going to be sellers. Oh no, it came pretty quickly, very clear who's buying, who's selling, and we've got moves being made. I mean, Lee, we can start with your Phillies. You guys sent Sir Anthony Dominguez to Baltimore for Austin Hayes. Baltimore, of course, making a bunch of moves. But you guys currently holding the best record in baseball. Second game of 3 against the Yankees tonight. Yankees, Will Warren called up emergency start because Garrett Cole, a late scratch, which only is going to heat things up. Folks, this is going to be coming hot and heavy throughout the show. Yankees are in the starting pitching market now, maybe because of the Cole injury.
Suddenly, yeah.
Yes. Alex Cobb, just literally as the show was starting, Alex Cobb traded from the Giants to Cleveland to help their starting pitching. We've got Yankees making moves for the bullpen. We've got Baltimore making moves for the bullpen. I really don't even know where to start. Like, honestly,
I'm looking at the tracker right now. We might have some stuff happen here on the show.
Literally, as the show goes on, we are going to have moves being made. But Yankees just got Mark Leiter Jr. from the Cubs for a pair of prospects to help out the bullpen. Also, supposedly trading now to make room for that move, sending the awful Caleb Ferguson to Houston for what's sounding like cash considerations.
That's official.
That is official. So, Lee, what are your thoughts on the trade deadline so far with 2 hours to go?
You know, it's interesting, Ray. I'm going to go a little bit of a different direction with this. It seems like we know the teams that are going to go for the World Series a little too much. And I don't know if I like that from a parity standpoint, keeping in mind my team is leading the pack. I'm saying that. But look, I understand bolstering a roster right now. What I always wonder about is the chemistry and the team cohesiveness that comes with changing a roster. It can be devastating if you're not careful.
Yes.
You know, and like, it was funny, Rob Thomas, the Phillies manager, was talking the other day, you know, we had to release some players.
Yes.
He talked about the difficulty. He's like, this guy's a great locker room guy. Talk about Walker, I believe. And just, you know, he's like, we like the guy, it just doesn't fit, and we got to do it. And everybody here's got to understand the mission.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Rob Thompson is good about keeping people in line for the mission.
That's his role. Yeah. I mean, arguably the best manager in baseball at the moment. So it's tough, right? But look, when you want to win, you understand. I mean, I know the Phillies, like, the example, because I hear about them a lot, but the idea is, no, you come in here, we're here to win a World Series. So if you're coming or going, that's the thing. And the incoming players have said that, like, man, I'm just happy to be here. Right.
Yes.
But we'll see. I 2 hours is plenty of time. My guess is the deals that are going to be done are already done, but we don't know about them yet.
Yes. Or they're just hammering out details. And of course,
the other thing too is, look for the Phillies. Again, I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah.
The top team in baseball. Bats are a little cold at the moment, which happens.
Yeah.
Like, you really want to mess with that lineup right now? You really want to mess with the lineup too much right now? Pitching is always something to mess with on any team.
Sure.
Like, I don't, okay, bats are cold. Yeah, it's July. It's almost August. They'll heat back up again. Just, you got a nice 10-game, 9-game lead in.
Yeah, you got plenty of room. You got plenty of a cushion, right? You're going through. You're going through a stretch right now. You're 4-10 in your last 14. To be fair, I mean, as a Yankee fan, obviously we know we've seen my rants. We're 12-23 in our last 33 or 35.
Yeah, coming back. It's all in front of you, Ray.
But that's the problem. That's what the problem is that, again, I hate our manager more than anything. And I hate, like, I want you to hold these guys accountable. Be like, yeah, we're not hitting the bat. We're not swinging the bat right now. We're not pitching well right now. We got to be better. Like, it's right in front of us. It's right in front of us. I give me more bubble gum. I'm getting more bubble gum. Now it's right in front of us. I'm going to change up the lineup for the 9th time in 9 days. I'm Aaron Boone, right to the coattails of a home run I hit 20 freaking years ago. But I will say this, very excited to get Jazz Chisholm from the Marlins, who immediately says, because Aaron Boone's like, can you play third base? And he's like, I've never done it, but I'll play it because I want to be a Yankee and I want to win. By the way, I thought it was funny that he took A-Rod's number and then started playing and played third base for us. But which also, by the way, like Gleyber Torres, talk about a guy who at this point now needs to go just because of his locker roomness. When the Yankees went to Gleyber, do you think you could play third? I'm a second baseman. I play second. I only play second base.
No.
And by the way, Gleyber Torres is categorically the worst second baseman in baseball. Leads the league in errors. And since becoming a second baseman in 2018, Gleyber Torres is categorically the worst defensive second baseman in all of baseball and has been for a long time. Please trade him for a bucket of baseballs and a plate of nachos. Please, please get rid of him. I hate him so much. He's awful.
Here's one for you, Ray. Paul DeJong just got traded to the Royals from the White Sox. The White Sox are playing the Royals right now, so he has to go to
That's
the
fun.
dugout.
He walks across the blade off the diamond. Yeah.
Hey guys, good to see you.
Well, that's a good pickup that gives Kansas City some infield depth that they've been looking to fill second base for a couple of years, ever since Whit Merrifield went up to Toronto and then the Philly, and now
we just released him, didn't we?
Merrifield? And now it's in Atlanta. Yeah, when you released Whit Merrifield, and now he went down to Atlanta to replace Ozzie Albies, who was likely out for the rest of the year. Yeah. Atlanta made a splash, bringing back former World Series MVP Jorge Soler for basically nothing from the Giants. But yeah, speaking of guys who left, I thought, to your point, the Yankees released Jahmai Jones, who is a utility man who the Yankees need to make room for when they signed Jazz Chisholm. They traded for him, and Aaron Judge hit a home run up in Fenway and did his celebration with Jahmai that he used to do with nobody there, like in the dugout, because he was like, my buddy got cut. Womp womp. But it happens. You said
that's how it goes.
Especially that's how it goes right now. It's like they didn't have a spot for him. Yeah, they didn't have a spot for him, and they unfortunately had to let him go, and that's the way it works. But Yankees have won 3 in a row. Not ready to say we're back just yet. But obviously it's big that we took 2 or 3 from Boston up in Fenway.
If you win tonight with that situation, you're back.
I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I think that's fair, especially because we have and after tonight, even if we lose tomorrow, if we take the series from the Phillies,
I don't think you win tonight, but if you do, you're back.
Right. And then the thing is that then the Yankees have a very soft schedule the next 9 games, because we have the Angels, the Blue Jays, who have been one of the big sellers so far, has been Toronto, and then the White Sox, who are on a historic losing pace right now. They've lost 15 in a row. They are almost 60 games under 500. The White Sox, folks, this is a disaster for the South Side. I get it's great that they're selling everybody, so they do have a bright future. They have a stacked minor league system, but as of right now, White Sox fans are suffering. Like, this is historically bad at this point of the year. I can't remember the last time I've seen it. I think there was a Detroit Tigers team about 20 years ago that it was about this bad. And then obviously they turned it around, and with Verlander for a while, and Scherzer, and made a couple of runs at the World Series. But right now, the White Sox are going through it. And that Paul DeJong trade, that's a big deal for them to send to Kansas City. Kansas City, cautious buyers. They made a move for a pitcher. Yeah. They got Lorenzen from Texas. They got the obviously backup infielder in Paul DeJong. Maybe they can provide some second base stability for them. But Kansas City knows where they're at. They're building towards the future. They have a wild card currently. Currently, they are a game up on Boston for the final wild card in the American League. But they also don't want to trade away their future, knowing that they are on the up and up in what has really historically been a soft division, even though Cleveland going all for it, getting Lane Thomas from Washington yesterday. Wow, solidifying that lineup. A guy who has 28 steals on the year, obviously a little pop, good fielder as well for the outfield. But yeah, Lee, like you said, the buyers are buyers, the sellers are sellers, and this very clearly shook up more clearly than it has in years past, because there are teams that are right in the bubble that are like, no, we're usually who are buyers, like the Diamondbacks, and who are buying, but a lot more sellers than I expected.
Well, here's the thing in Major League Baseball, and this is what's interesting about this time of year, is like, a lot of copycat stuff that goes on, and it's an arms race, right? You get this guy, I gotta get this guy. But then last year, you see the Diamondbacks kind of come out of nowhere, and right, they're there. So I think decisions like this are tough. Like, you have to look at the long-term success of the team. Honestly, like the Phillies, the Orioles, the Yankees.
Yeah.
Does anybody else in the NL scare you right now, like the Phillies, if they're hot?
If the Dodgers put it together.
Sure.
Right?
Like, so let's just go with those 4 teams. Like, from
Dodgers,
a decision,
big time buyers too at the deadline.
Yeah. From a decision-making standpoint, purely from that standpoint, those are World Series ready teams. And you do have to, and again, this is where fans get lost. Those teams I just mentioned are World Series ready. They could win the World Series this year, not guaranteed to win.
Yeah.
Probably a little bit of a higher percentage. So yes, there is an equation that you have to make of, okay, if I sell the farm or I make a bad move right now, it could hurt us in 5 years. But
Right.
if we win the World Series, it will have been worth it.
100%.
That's the type of decisions these GMs have to make. And I'll be honest with you, people out there, most of you couldn't make these decisions.
Yeah.
Right? Most of you would splurge everything, destroy your organization, or you'd be too conservative. You have to have some guts to make decisions that are going to help you win. And there's no guarantees, right? If you run into a team where someone's hot that you didn't expect that you can lose.
Yeah.
But you have to have the guts to make the decision. And that's why those 4 teams are super aggressive because they know it's in play this year.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, the Orioles and the Phillies trading with each other was very interesting.
Yes.
It's very much a
hey, they are the favorites to win their respective leagues. Right.
And it's the attitude with that is, look, let's, we're going to block the other teams in our leagues and we'll meet you in the World Series. That's actually pretty interesting because you don't typically see that happen, right?
No. And both teams got better. Baltimore needed bullpen help.
Yeah.
And you guys needed an extra, a more solidified outfield, and moving Marsh to center and Hayes to left, I think is going to pay off for you guys in the long run.
Yeah. And again, the Phillies won't make any more fielding trades, but they may make
another bullpen arm, because you guys use another bullpen arm too. Yeah.
End up with another reliever here. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's very interesting to see. And then some interesting moves between sellers, right? The Cubs and Tampa Bay really been selling at the deadline, but then the Tampa Bay sends Isaac Paredes to the Cubs, who is a very coveted piece. And then the Cubs send Christopher Morel back to Tampa along with prospects. And both organizations say, we think this is going to help both of our respective organizations in the long run. But it's interesting. It takes interesting pieces off the board for possible buyers, as those two teams as sellers sell to each other. Similar in a way the way Baltimore and Philly, two buyers, bought from each other. It's
look, everyone's trying to get better. Just because you're a seller doesn't mean you're going to give everything to a better team.
Right.
Especially if those teams are in your division.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that's why too, it's a safe trade because it's interleague, right?
Right.
Like,
totally.
So, but very interesting to see, and definitely gonna be fun. Last couple of hours. If anything breaks here on the show as we're recording, we'll give you our thoughts in the last hour and 18 minutes before the deadline, or 118 minutes, hour and 58 minutes before the deadline. It hits here for baseball.
I'm watching it. That's why I keep looking away.
No, me too. I'm refreshing. I'm refreshing every couple of minutes,
right?
Because it literally it could happen at any second, folks. That the quote unquote
big earthquake could hit California.
That's right. The 10.0
trade to the Dodgers.
Yes.
Trade alert. Trade alert.
Trade alert.
The deal.
The New York Mets.
Starter. Yep.
The New York Mets are going to get a very solid right-handed starter from the Oakland Athletics getting involved. We were talking about this earlier on my stream on TikTok about how the Athletics have been unusually quiet for a team that is oftentimes sellers at the deadline. But the Mets looking to shore up their rotation, especially with the injury to Senga, who looks like he's going to miss the whole rest of the year now. Paul Blackburn looks like he will be heading from Oakland to Queens for a trade that is breaking as we are recording. Look, the Mets have been buyers, and honestly, I hate the Mets, but the moves they've made are very good. And if they're going to get one of those wild card spots, they've done what they had to do. They shored up their rotation. They've shored up their bullpen. They added a right fielder in Jesse Winker, who's having a nice year overall. This is an interesting move. Now that they got themselves a nice middle of the rotation starter in Paul Blackburn. The return has not been finalized yet, but again, we will talk about this throughout the show as it happens. Fascinating. Completely forgot about Paul Blackburn in Oakland, because he is a good starter. He's just his wins and losses aren't there because he plays for Oakland. But yeah, great moves there. So
right. Let's talk about how Simone Biles just became the most decorated gymnast in U.S. history and Olympic history.
Yes, the Olympics, the U.S. women's team just won the gold in gymnastics. U.S., of course, winning the medal count as of right now. There are, I think, a couple behind Japan for the gold medal leader, but U.S., I know, not surprisingly, going out very strong. The U.S. ladies, and yes, Simone Biles leads the U.S. women's gymnastics team to Olympic gold, kicking off their quote unquote redemption tour. And yes, she is now the most decorated American woman in gymnastics with 8 medals. That's her 8th medal. Congratulations to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
to that team.
Ray,
And
here's
she's
a
going to
question
add to
for
it
you.
as this, and she's only going to add to it as this goes on, most likely.
Agreed. Here's a question for you. This is something I was
Yes.
debating the other day. This could be for our audience too. Medal count.
Yeah.
You know, the way they do the medal count is it's total medals, and the way
Yeah.
you quote unquote win that tally board, win the Olympics, is most medals.
Right.
I don't know how I feel about that. So
Mhm.
I was saying the other day to my wife, we were having a conversation, should it be medal count, which is one that is a chart, don't get me wrong, or is gold medals what we should be counting? And I went back and forth on that. So I'm interested in your thoughts on this, Ray, of what is more important in terms of keeping score, if you will. Is it total medal count? Because I'll tell you right now, if a country led the medal count and had
they're
like
all bronze.
two golds, 12 12 silvers, and like 8 bronze, I'm not taking anything away from the medals. I don't want anybody to think that that's where I'm going with this. All right. There's certainly something to be said to being second or third best in the world, plus 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I mean, like that's an amazing accomplishment to even be at the Olympics. But the competitor in me is like, well, gold means you won.
Right.
Silver and bronze, you won something.
Right.
But you're not the best. You're not number one in the world. You're definitely number one in your country, most likely, unless it's like the U.S. gymnast team. Then it's like one.
Right. Yeah. I think the U.S. swimmers, went 1-2 in a competition the other day or whatever. Like,
so what should we be counting, Ray? I want to know your thoughts. I mean, and again, I know the answer is both, but what is a more important count to you? Total medal count or gold medals won? Because we're not leading in the gold medals won right now.
No, I think it's Japan right now as of this moment of recording.
Yeah. I go back and forth on this one. I want to know what you think. I want to know what the audience thinks.
I think the total medals is the consolation prize. Like, I think it should be gold medals. I think it should be gold.
I think I agree with you on this, right?
Yeah.
It's like the reason I say this, Ray, is because like I've never looked at my second and third place trophies and medals as like success. I mean,
no.
I
look at them as like there's a little hint of regret. Like, I could have done a little bit more. Almost.
I'm gonna say this again. It's not that I'm not proud of them, and I'm not saying that
Sure.
something wasn't earned there. I don't have anything beyond third place. I am not a fan of participation trophies.
Yeah, no, it's top 3. It's top 3. That's
above the age of I'll say 8.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not a fan of participation trophies. I'm not even sure you need them before that. So I acknowledge the second and third place things that I have. I'm not the type to throw them away. Like, we earned them, but I don't look at them like I look at, like, I have a gold medal. Like, let's be honest about it. I have a gold medal. It's probably displayed in my office. I know I wouldn't look at the silver one if we came in second.
Right.
Again, you lose silver. You can only win bronze and gold. So
Right.
I don't know. I believe that gold medals is the count that I want to look at. And I always feel like it's like politics, like they're lying to us, right? It's like, oh no, US is leading the medal count. We're 22. And I'm like, yeah, but that country has more golds than us.
Yeah.
Like, so I feel like I'm hitting the 8 ball on in pool with this a little bit.
Yeah. No,
what's our motto, Ray? Go for the gold.
Yeah. No, exactly. Yeah. No. So, I mean, and sometimes too, I mean, like, it also depends on the situation. Like, I think, what was it? The men's team, I think, got silver yesterday, which I think was it's their first medal in 16 years, and they're in 4 Olympics.
Hey, again, it's an accomplishment. I want to make sure this is clear. I am not poo-pooing on the silver or bronze medal or even being an Olympic competitor.
Yeah.
I am not in any way. But I'm talking about winning in the literal sense of winning a competition. I'm not talking about moral victory.
Yes.
That's a great moral victory for the men's team, and being second in the world is fantastic. There's no shame in that.
Yeah.
But you're not first in the world. And that's what I'm trying to say. That always bugs me a little bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, there were some great stories, like, even this weekend. Like, I watched the women's team archery, which was really fascinating. And Mexico, the Mexican women got the bronze. And it's a great thing because that's the first time the country has ever medaled in women's team archery, right? That is a huge accomplishment for them, right? I think they knocked off the Dutch, I think, in that bronze medal match.
Well, here's the other thing too. You're bringing up a good point. Like, we're Americans.
Yeah.
So we're also very used to winning. All right.
Yeah.
We have a massive population. Historically, we win at the Olympics, right? If I was from St. Lucia, Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica,
right?
If I was from a smaller country, I imagine this conversation is a little bit different.
Sure.
Right? Because
Absolutely.
of where, not your place in the world. I'm not trying to say that, but like, we have the odds in our favor with our population. Not to mention, we draw people from all over the world. I mean,
resources. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Almost have an unfair advantage. We don't, but we almost do. That's just as part of having the ability to come to this country. But yeah, I thought it was a question I want to ask you. It's an interesting point.
Yeah, no, for sure. And in that competition, by the way, this was a fascinating stat. The South Korean women, team archery, women's team archery has been a sport since 1988. So there have been this is the 10th time it has been a sport at the Olympics. South Korea has won the gold every time. And listening to the broadcasters, like, this is the kind of interesting, this is when color commentary is at its best. They're like, archery in South Korea, which I would never have known, is like basketball in the United States. Like, these women are paid, and like the men for the team of Korea are paid, and like athletes, like basketball athletes are here in America. Like, it's insane. But like, also, that's amazing and good for those women continuing what is basically a dynasty where South Korea, and by the way, literally by a millimeter, they beat China in the tie-breaking set by a millimeter to continue that domination. 10 straight Olympics where the South Korean women.
That's the difference. And again, look, that's the difference. That's how I would say that's an accurate portrayal of how close these things are.
Yes.
Again, if you want to look at track and field, which usually is on the later half of the Olympics.
Yes.
Look at the difference between first, second, and third place. It's like that quick.
Yeah.
Like, that's the difference. I always like to equate that to people. Can you imagine operating in your job where that was the variance you had to perform at between you and somebody else to keep a job?
Yeah.
You would lose your mind, right?
Yeah, no, the
gap is much bigger in the workforce. But yeah, it's an amazing thing, the Olympics. I've always appreciated them. Obviously, both sets. And yeah, I was looking too at the, like, most countries pay for a gold medal. It was actually funny because America's on the much lower side of that, but that's also economy of scale, where we have so many gold medalists that can only pay like $30,000-$40,000 per gold medal, where some countries are paying close to $1 million. But how they can pay? Well, they're not going to win the gold. That's why it's up to $1 million. It's
why it's a big deal when, again, Mexico gets third place in women's team archery. Like,
right, you win something nice. Yeah,
for sure.
Win a trip to America. I'm just kidding. That was a joke.
Go
to beautiful Los Angeles. They can go to beautiful Los Angeles in a few years, Ray. They'll be there. I can't wait to see track and field when the ground is moving. It's going to be great.
I will say this, though. At least LA, I will confidently say this, and I don't usually say something like this. LA is cleaner than Paris.
Oh, at least the water is.
At least the water is. I don't know if you guys heard this.
Do you think they'll do the triathlon in the LA River?
No, I think they will use the Pacific Ocean. Wisely, they will use the Pacific Ocean. And I will say this, folks, there's been a lot of great stories coming out of the Olympics. There's also been some bad ones. And one of the top of the mind today is the Seine River, however you want to say it. The River Seine in going through Paris. The men's triathlon was delayed due to high E. coli levels in the water and general toxicity and contamination. Though basically, folks, France paid $1 billion, $1.5 billion to clean the water over the last year, and it's still so dirty and disgusting that they don't want the athletes to swim in it. It is filthy. And if you've never been to France, I can tell you I've been to France many times. All up and down France. I've been to Nice, I've been to Lyon, I've been to Saint Raphael, and I've been to Paris. It is one of the dirtiest countries I've ever been in. And I've traveled the world. I'm not tooting my own horn here. I've been to Australia, I've been to Japan, I've been all over the US and all over Canada. I've been to Eastern Europe. I've been with Belarus. I've been to Germany and Italy and Spain and England. France is filthy. It just is, folks. And boy, oh boy, they are seeing it firsthand right now as they delayed the triathlon
Ray,
because
tell
they're
us what you
still
really
cleaning the
think.
water.
Tell us what you really think. You're not wrong.
I'm
It's
sorry.
It's not filthy in the garbage, like people aren't picking up the garbage sense. It's just it's out of control. You know, littering. I mean, it's a
Yeah.
little different. It's like not like garbage bags on the side of the street. I've
Yeah.
been there too, but yeah, look, it's interesting that I was the mayor of Paris was like swimming in there the other day, and then just a few because it rained, the E. coli is filling up the river, so it's a interesting situation, a little bit embarrassing, but
Oh yeah, it's definitely a bit of a black eye. I mean, look, I'm not gonna say it's not gonna be. I'm sure there's gonna be problems in LA in 4 years too, but this was not good.
Yeah,
Other
that's
issues.
embarrassing. Yeah, but like you said, there's more good than bad, but that's not the only thing we're going to talk about.
Oh yeah, because there's a food shortage in the Olympic Village.
Whoops.
They were like, oh, the athletes don't eat that much. No. Meanwhile, Michael Phelps a few years ago was telling us about how he ate 40,000 calories a day while he was in the Olympics.
Right.
But no, the French, they can survive on baguettes. 1,500 calories a day, they'll be fine. Croissant, we'll give them a croissant. Give them another croissant. The UK is flying emergency rations into Paris for its athletes, and other countries are going to follow suit soon because there's not enough food in the Olympic Village. You morons! Unbelievable.
Now this seems
Not
to
enough
happen.
food. The beds are bad. There's no curtains in the rooms. There's no air conditioning. Paris, what are you doing?
This is always the case. Like every 4 years, it just seems like the village is just not adequate for these athletes, and I don't understand. And
you think you'd learn by now.
Well, the French athletes are taken care of. Yeah,
sure.
I wonder if this is just bad gamesmanship at some point.
Yeah.
Like we heard about in Sochi, in those Winter Olympics and other Russian, it was horrible. Like,
yeah,
just
horrible.
Well,
in Rio a few years ago too. Like it just,
yeah,
it's like it's every Olympics we hear about the disasters in the Olympic Village, and nobody seems to learn. And like you said, is it just bad gamesmanship? Is this going to happen now in 4 years where the U.S. athletes are perfectly taken care of? Meanwhile, we put all the other athletes down in Skid Row. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like the best way to put your best foot forward in the eyes of the world, right? When the eyes of the world are on Paris right now, and mostly what we're talking about is how dirty the water is and how there's no food in the village.
Not good.
No, it's not a good look. Yeah, so it just unbelievable. I will say this though, the beach volleyball in front of the Eiffel Tower is really cool.
It's really awesome. Yeah, I like the way they set that up.
100%. I hope we do something. We probably won't do something as cool because we actually have beaches here in LA.
Well, yeah,
so
you'll be on the beach. Yeah.
You'll actually be on the beach. But it might be cool because you can see the Ferris wheel in the background on the Santa Monica Pier.
Yeah, keep telling yourself it's cool. That's awesome.
It's not the Eiffel Tower. I know it's not the Eiffel Tower.
But look, Paris is a beautiful venue. The most part things are going well. It's just these little hiccups, man. They don't make a lot of sense.
No, it just seems like, again, it feels like the fact that this happens every 4 years and like everybody's caught with their pants down.
Well, again, look, you got to remember this, right? That the Olympics are always a financial hole for these cities. Like they do not make money on the Olympics ever.
That's true.
And you can look at the, I mean, I sound like a dork. I studied this, but you can look at the historical data. Every city loses money in the Olympic Games. The
LA 2028.
The only city, Ray, not to lose money was Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And it's because they're not creating venues for the event. They're using existing venues. Now, with that said, that Olympics was in what, the 80s?
84, yeah.
Yeah, so different time, different media coverage, different spend. All right. I think the spending on the next Olympics in LA is going to be a little more than it was in 84.
Yeah.
But you're still going to save money. You're not building a new Coliseum.
No,
right?
and that's
You're
the thing. We have all the arenas here. We have all the horse tracks for the equestrian events.
Right. So
we have the ocean.
That's why it's a good place, because you actually save a lot of money. But with that said, so everybody's probably thinking now, well, okay, Lee, if they don't make money, what's the point? The point is Paris is now in the eyes of the world, and you're talking about Paris. And long term, over 20 years,
the tour, it'll be a boon on tourism and stuff like that.
Someone's going to go to Paris because they're seeing Paris. Like that's
right.
Like when's the last time you talked about Paris? I mean, and again, we all know Paris, but when's the last time you talked about Paris?
Yeah,
right?
No, it's very true.
It's in your mind. When's the last time you talked about Rio? Right.
Right.
By the way, Salt Lake City, Utah just awarded another Winter Olympics. When's the last time we talked about Salt Lake City? 2002. The last time there was an Olympics there.
Yeah.
Right? Was it 2002? I think it was 02, right? So was it 04?
Something like that.
It was a long time ago now.
Yeah.
But that's why they do it. But yeah, why would they spend money on the athletes when they know they're losing money? That's where they cut the cost, which is amazing.
Right.
You can have a beach volleyball court next to the Eiffel Tower, but you don't have any food for the athletes.
Yeah, it's just kind of mind-boggling. What's also going to be interesting, kind of mind-boggling is
how
next
much I want
year,
a baguette and a croissant right now? Thanks, Ray.
I would love a croissant.
I'll go to Les Bous, get a chocolate croissant.
Croissant.
We're not being funny. That's how French people speak.
That's how they say it. So anyway, next year is going to be something interesting. The official Olympic esports event, video games. For the last couple of years, the Olympics have been looking to incorporate video games more and more into the events. The official Olympic esports event will be taking place next year in Saudi Arabia. That was I'm all for. I think obviously Olympic esports is an interesting thing. I think obviously there's a competitive aspect. Obviously it's not obviously esports is great and it's getting its fair share of attention. I don't know if it should be labeled as an Olympic thing, but especially because the Olympics are basically not doing most of the games that are considered the most competitive games. They are going to be doing Street Fighter. They said they are going to probably be doing Rocket League, but they're not going to be doing Call of Duty. They're not going to be doing anything that's a shooter probably will not be featured. Which I think it makes sense, but it's also interesting because it also means you're not doing Fortnite, right? Which is these are the biggest competitions typically in esports, or Counter-Strike or Rainbow Six. But it's interesting, and I think it's also interesting the venue that they're going to go to Saudi Arabia, which Saudi Arabia's been trying to get into video games for a long time, but not usually. And again, this is kind of we've talked about this before. It's interesting how countries, we talked about it last week with Latveria, fictional country, in our mashup. Sometimes countries that don't have the best standing in the world, but getting a chance to host Olympic events and kind of what goes into that behind the scenes and the money and whatnot. But what are your thoughts about video games getting their own Olympic branded event?
I just think it's going to be really interesting when a guy's about to win and then Logan Paul comes out of nowhere from the top rope at the Crown Jewels event. It's also simultaneously taking place to take out whoever it is playing whatever game. And he's just going to say, I'm the U.S. champion.
Yes.
That's going to be fun. There's a lot of new, there's more sports that come to the Olympics than I think people realize. For example, we didn't talk about it. Breakdancing is now an Olympic competition this year, right?
That's true.
First time breakdancing's ever been there. There's also other things that are there, 3-on-3 basketball. I don't think is new, but it's newer, right? So,
right.
Something to think about. Should gaming be in the Olympics? Yeah, there's competitions. It's been around for a long time. Why would you not? It's about competing, right?
Sure.
I mean, that's what it's about. It's about competition.
Yeah.
Is it about athletic prowess all the time? I don't know. We'd have to have a conversation about that, right? There's different types of athleticism, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's why it's also getting its own event, right? It's not part of the actual summer or winter Olympics. It's getting its own global officially event. The Olympic esports games that will start in 2025.
There you go. So when are you signing up?
Unfortunately, I could be a coach. I'm too old now. My reflexes
there's
are
a
shot.
61-year-old ping pong player in the Olympics, Ray. I don't want to hear.
I saw that from. Well, I think she's 58. She's from Chile. Yes. I could. Maybe I could be an Olympic.
I mean, what? Yeah. What if they do something like GoldenEye? Like the kids can't play GoldenEye today.
Sure.
They can't do that.
That's the thing. Rocket League. I can't do Rocket League. And that's the thing.
I never understood the allure of Rocket League, to be perfectly honest with you.
It's soccer with cars. It's a fun gimmick. It's a fun gimmick.
I've never.
I don't understand why people keep playing it. It's a fun gimmick, but hey, to each their own, right?
Yeah. So I'm not ripping on it. I'm just saying I never understood it. I never understood why that was a thing.
Yeah. No, for sure. For sure. But no, I get it. It's a fun game. But yeah, I got out of Rocket League a while ago. But good to the people still playing it. You know what else is changing next year, 2025?
Yes, I do, Ray, because I have a rundown in front of me that tells me what you're about to talk about, but the audience doesn't. So why don't you let them know?
Yes. So it is official now.
Tell
We've
them,
talked about this a couple
knucklehead.
times, but it is official that Warner Brothers will be losing the NBA after next season. So starting in the 2025-2026 season, NBA is going back to NBC. ABC, ESPN will also have NBA games, and of course, and now Amazon will also be getting NBA games, joining their obviously their deal with the NFL. As Amazon starting to become more of a place for sports, you're starting to see the streamers. We talked about this a lot. Obviously, you get live sports. Traditional. That's the only reason why I have any sort of traditional. I have Sling. I think Lee's got YouTube TV. The only reason why I have this is because of sports. Once that's gone,
goodbye.
Bye cable. Cable becomes the internet company. That's what it is. That's all cable will be anymore.
It already is.
Yeah,
people on
basically.
cable still are over 60. Yeah, look, it's an amazing deal. Also, we should note, and I'm gonna give my sport props here. The NHL did something similar to this a few years ago. This is just following suit. The NHL switched from NBC to ESPN. So the funny thing I saw about this the other day was Charles Barkley saying, "I'm not gonna be with a company that has to sue to keep us around. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if they don't want us, then we're not gonna stay." Right? Because they tried to match that offer. It's time for a changing of the guard. Look, I love Charles Barkley, and that panel is great, but let's be honest, it's dated. They're overpaid for announcers at this point. And you need to bring in some fresh blood. Like that is the 90s generational panel there. And that's 30 freaking years ago. It's time to bring in the guys from the 2010s.
Yeah.
They're much more affordable.
That's true too.
It doesn't mean Chuck can't do broadcasting still. It's just like this is one of the reasons they're making the change. No one's talking about that, is how much money they're going to save on their new panelists.
Sure.
Right? It's gonna be a lot of savings right there. But look, here's the deal. This story I always think stories like this are a little bit dumb because people are like, well, they're gonna bring back the song and you're gonna have that song again.
They are gonna bring back the song.
Yeah, it's gimme. So I'm gonna dunk it. Look, the thing about the song is like we're debating that, like we're excited. Like to me, this is so not important. The games are important. Basketball is important.
Yes.
The biggest news again is that, as we predicted many times, sports are going to streaming services, and I think we're just 3 to 4 years away. Like, so this deal is going to be in 2025. It's probably a 10-year deal.
It's probably something like that.
Yeah, and there you go. So 2035.
Yeah, it's
gone.
It's a bigger deal that Amazon, like you said, it's a bigger deal that Amazon is getting streaming games now more than the TNT games the Warner Brothers games are going to go over to NBC Universal now, right? Like, I mean, that's still a big deal because obviously it shows the continued collapse of Warner Brothers under Zaslav, right? Like, because he doesn't know the first thing of what he's doing aside from all he knows is how to tear things down. But this is a big deal, right? So Warner Brothers continues to suck. Yeah. Warner Brothers continues to suck, which we'll get into more of that later.
Like even The Boys is making fun of Warner Brothers at this point, who happens to be an Amazon-run show.
Yeah.
Well, Ray, I think I said this to you without giving away anything. They literally said in an episode of The Boys, they had this film coming out, and the film gets canceled because the tax write-off would make more money. And they say it in the show and look right at the camera.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, it's so good on the NBA, go and get more money for the league. And bad on Warner Brothers, and good on NBC, who realizes that this is a chance for them to get back into basketball. So and kind of continue to
look. NBC lost hockey, and it was bad. Like hockey did really well.
They realized they had a huge hole in their lineup without hockey.
They had a huge hole, and that ESPN did a better job with it. In spite of everybody hating on ESPN, they did a better job with it.
Yes, except for Sean McDonough is one of the worst play-by-play men in sports.
Again. Broadcasters aside, more people watch Game 7 of the Cup final than have in like 20 years.
Yes,
they did a better job. Better
job of promoting it, 100%. Absolutely. You know who else is making fun of Warner Brothers this weekend?
I do.
Pretty directly. Deadpool, baby. Yeah. Lee, I'm going to go right into the big questions. Are we going to get Henry Cavill as Wolverine?
No, we did already.
Yeah.
Listen,
not.
For obviously,
it's like Krasinski as Miss Reed Richards. It's a one-off.
Spoiler alert, if somehow you have not seen this film yet, although if you have
Yes.
not seen it, I don't know how it hasn't been spoiled for you,
Yeah.
because as we
It's
predicted, Ray and I saw
Yeah.
this film within probably 24 hours of it coming
And
out.
thank goodness we did, because the
Yep.
spoilers are everywhere. So this is where
Everywhere.
spoiler alert, spoiler alert, spoiler. It's our turn now to talk about it. We gave you 96 hours.
Oh no,
so.
we're within our own spoiler rules here. What was amazing to me is it wasn't just spoilers like, oh, this person's in the film. It's the clips from the movie
Yeah.
all over social media.
Yeah. How
just
all
ridiculous.
these people have not been flagged by TikTok. How these people did not get caught to have their phones in the theater. Like, it's bad, folks.
Yeah.
Like, it's real bad.
I mean, it's
And
cool
it's still made,
now that
and
I've seen
it's still made
Yeah.
almost $500 million.
Yeah, here's what I'll say. I've seen it, so I don't mind seeing these things. It's kind of fun to watch some of
Right.
those scenes again. But the problem is, if I haven't seen it, I mean, you've ruined the movie. You've ruined the movie. And I'd say it took 24 hours before I started seeing things everywhere. And to me,
agreed.
this was a week-long embargo.
Yeah. No, it's
top grossing R-rated film opening weekend all time. I think it's in the top 6 all-time opening weekends in history.
Yeah,
which is saying something.
Yeah, it's unbelievable how much money it's making. And honestly, and it's well deserved, because it is a hysterical movie. It is very well written. It breaks the fourth wall brilliantly. I would have liked maybe a little more stakes into terms of how it ties into the larger MCU, but at the same
I think
time,
we got that, and I don't think that we picked up on it yet. And I'll tell you my thought on that too in a minute.
The big thing I think we get is anchor beings.
I just wrote that down, because that is the key to the whole thing. We're going to talk about Dr. Doom in a minute. I'm sure that's going to play into that. And
also the fact that Deadpool basically has, with a couple of lines, been like, I can go from universe to universe because I'm Deadpool. Basically, because he has the device. He took Cable's time hopping device at the end of Deadpool 2 is basically how he explained it, and he can kind of go wherever he wants, whenever he wants, and break the fourth wall however he wants. I doubt he will very often.
I don't think we'll see him again, to be honest with you. I don't think we'll see him or Wolverine anytime soon. Everybody's, they're going to make a Wolverine Hulk film. No, they're not, because there's absolutely no plot to that film.
And if they are, it's not going to be with Hugh Jackman.
Yeah, and even if it was, it's not going to be good, because I have read Wolverine versus Hulk. Ray has read it. There's no storyline.
No.
It's just them fighting and ripping each other apart.
It could be a cool 20-minute sequence in another movie, maybe, if you figured out.
I agree with that. Yes,
but
that's true. But
it
we
can't be
also
its own
got that
standalone
sequence.
film.
We got that sequence already in this film.
Yeah.
So, look, long story short, Deadpool and Wolverine was a love letter to the Fox universe while also nodding to the MCU in the best way possible. It was fantastic. Completely lived up to the hype. I know that because I couldn't stop thinking about it after I saw it. Unbelievably funny, unbelievably thoughtful, unbelievable fan service, unbelievable story, and it was great. I mean, it was exactly what they advertised, and you got to give Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman a lot of credit for understanding the audience and doing this the right way.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely unbelievable. They did it. Yeah, like you said, Lee, just nothing else to say. They did it right. Like, you know what else I can't stop thinking about? How much I want a Channing Tatum Gambit movie now.
Yeah. That was acknowledged today by Channing Tatum, that he was really thanking Ryan Reynolds for going out of his way to allow him to play that character. For those of you who don't know, this was a greenlit movie that Channing Tatum was going to play Gambit. It got, if I'm not mistaken, it got extremely close to production.
I mean, the script was basically done, like, and it just died in development hell. Like,
and he showed why he should be the guy. I mean, he did. He nailed that character. He didn't just. That wasn't just a cameo. Like, that was a well done character. In fact, I'll say this too: all the cameos in this film they had purpose.
100%.
Right? They weren't just there to be there.
Right. There were no throwaways. Everything had a reason, and it was really brilliantly done. And again, Channing Tatum's Gambit, his action sequence, he stole the show, man.
Right.
Like, and this is the most comic accurate Gambit we've ever had in live action. And Tatum was good. I know a lot of people are making fun of his Cajun accent, but I was all for it.
It was fine. It was fine.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're
Yeah.
making fun of. It
Yeah.
sounded just like Gambit.
He sounded like Gambit in the cartoon.
Yeah, it's only weird to you because it's a human being and it's him, and you know who this guy is now.
You know who Channing Tatum is, right?
Right.
Exactly.
But I don't think he was joking with it. I think like the way he said it, he was spot on.
He took it 100% serious. And honestly, like the way. And again, you mentioned it. Like, I mean, and Ryan Reynolds even said too. Like, I know the pain that Channing went through because if I didn't leak the Deadpool footage, I would have been in that same spot.
We wouldn't be here.
We wouldn't be here. So, like, it was kind of his way, in a weird way, almost like leaking the Gambit footage that never was. But I demand, and here's the thing: we know that they hinted at him and Blade and Elektra, and we know definitely for sure X-23 did. At them all surviving,
right?
I demand the Channing Tatum Gambit movie, or at least have him be Gambit in an X-Men movie.
I think a lot of people are going to be wanting that. And look, the beauty of Secret Wars is they can kind of do whatever they want.
They can have him come back,
yeah. Like we're not going to discuss every little thing that happened in this movie. There's enough people on social media doing that, but I do want to talk about the implications of the movie with anchor beings, which we'll use that to transfer to RDJ in a minute, but. The other thing, too, is that it seems like they've consolidated the multiverse a little bit. In fact, they kind of joke about it in the film of like, that's enough of the multiverse. Like, you guys aren't doing it well. They're still going to use it, but I think there's going to be a little bit more of a concise storyline within it. The problem with the multiverse is that it's infinite. It's infinite. And if you play in that playground too long, the stakes go away, right? Because there's always another person. There's always another thing. So you have to have something singular. So the introduction of an anchor being, and this is brilliant, okay? It's saying that each universe has one person that if that person is gone, they joked that within a few hundred years, that
the
universe will
collapse.
Die.
Yeah.
Right? And Paradox, who's the bad guy from this, was like, oh, I don't want to wait. I'm just going to do it now. But again, fun character, a little bit of a weak story.
Also, another character from the comics. He's a little-known character from the comics, but they did a good job with him.
Yeah, they really did. But now the idea is that, okay, who's the anchor being for the MCU? Was it
Iron Man?
Was it Iron Man? Who was it? We don't know.
He said is not Iron Man from 616.
And there you go. So like that's now the congruence that
everyone's speculating now that it's Tom Holland. Spider-Man.
Sure. Look, my point is this. That's the important question that Deadpool and Wolverine brings to the larger MCU. Before we close the loop on Deadpool and Wolverine, it was just wonderfully fun, exciting. It lived up to the hype. It was a brilliant movie.
Yes.
I do not think we will see Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds as those characters again outside a cameo.
No. Outside a cameo's sure.
Yeah, there's no need. There's just no need to bring them back again.
Yeah.
And again, there's a lot of speculation. They can make this movie. They can make that movie. They can make just calm down. We got told they're going to make another Andrew Garfield Spider-Man a few years ago. I haven't seen anything about that. Stop spreading things like that.
I have heard that Toby could be part of Secret Wars, but that's about
I think a lot of people will be in Secret Wars. It's going to be like an Avengers Assemble moment, though. It's not like the whole movie is going to revolve around them. But anchor beings, right? Let's transition here, Ray. Unless you have anything else on Deadpool and Wolverine.
I'm ready. I'm ready to move on for sure.
Yeah. So obviously it was announced at Comic-Con that Robert Downey Jr. is going to play Dr. Doom. And of course, the internet is erupting in conversation. How can he play Dr. Doom? He's Iron Man. You can't have him play Doc. You can't do that. First off, from Ray and I both, from our hearts, shut up.
Yeah.
Shut up. You don't know the storyline. You don't know how they're going to do this. If there's anything we have learned, Ray gave this example, but we all know it. There's Heath Ledger as the Joker. You could use Michael Keaton as Batman. You don't know something's going to be crap until it's crap. There's also a lot of actors we thought that's going to be a great. Jared Leto as the Joker. You put that on paper, sounds great. Sounds really great. Guess what? Wasn't great.
Not good. Right?
I don't think he was as bad as people think, but it also just didn't work. All right.
I thought he was pretty freaking god awful personally.
It was the portrayal as it was written versus what we got conflicted in my mind. All right. That was his Joker. All right. So I don't know what the story is of how RDJ is going to become Dr. Doom. I don't care. You know why? Because RDJ is a fantastic actor and he deserves a chance just like Leto did. He deserved the chance.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, the other thing I got to tell people is, get this question. Is there any comic book history where that could even be possible? Yes. It has happened in the comics a couple times.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
The first time, very short,
is Doctor Doom actually transfers his consciousness into Tony Stark and vice versa. So
Yeah.
he literally becomes Tony Stark. That's possible. I don't know if that's going to happen. And then there's the other one where Doctor Doom takes on the Iron Man kind of name for a bit of time. He has all his magical powers and he's Iron Man. They may use those, they may not. It doesn't matter. Give it time and see what happens.
Yeah, and there's also Earth 5012 where Tony Stark becomes Doctor Doom, and then he comes to the mainline universe and becomes the Iron Maniac and gets a cool purple suit of armor. But like anyway, like there's so many variations. They could do so much with this. And you know what? You could just have it where like the dude happens to look like Tony Stark.
Yeah,
he could be Victor Von Doom, and it just so happens to be. Who knows? Maybe they're going to scar his face up. Like in some versions, Dr. Doom, the reason why he wears the mask is because he was hideously scarred. You don't know. And if you're going to get one of the best actors of all time, then like, you roll the dice.
This could be like a Josh Brolin thing we talked about the other day. He was Cable. He's also Thanos.
Yes.
Okay, so we don't know. The point is this: we don't know. We can speculate all we want. What I do know is RDJ is one hell of an actor.
Yeah.
I highly doubt he would have taken this role if it did not amaze him and challenge him. He doesn't typically
he don't
do
need
things.
the money. He don't need the money.
He doesn't typically do things like that for money. He likes to challenge himself. He likes to push himself. And the other thing too is this: he's smart enough. He would never try and compromise what he created with Iron Man unless this was an amazing story the way they pitched it to him. Yeah. So look, if it's crap, we'll be on here in 2026 telling you it's crap.
Yep.
But I'm not going to tell you that today.
Yeah, no, we'll wait and see. By the way, breaking news, Tanner Scott, closer for the Marlins, going to the Padres. So
that's what's in.
That is what's happening as of this moment with an hour and 20 minutes left before the deadline. Don't know what
you got any more of those relievers there on your team? Some relievers.
Yes, as also JT Chargois, another Marlin reliever, going to Seattle. So the Marlins selling heavy, their bullpen. Chargois can also be a spot starter, but he's a long reliever mostly. So 2 arms out of the Marlin pen, one going to Seattle, one going to San Diego. The return's not yet in, but we will see if that comes in before we wrap up the show here today, folks. But as it also looks like, looks like the Tigers are sending left-handed reliever Andrew Chafin to the Rangers. That's an interesting move. I thought the Rangers were going to be sellers, but they've picked up a couple of pieces from Detroit. Now they also got Carson Kelly in a different move.
Well, Ray, I thought the Rangers were going to win the Stanley Cup. So it just shows you don't know what the Rangers are ever going to do.
Different Rangers.
I know that, Ray, but that was the point.
I know.
Don't ever sigh at me like I'm some dolt. I am a geek who likes sports. I make jokes like that on my show and my podcast, sir. Kneel before Zod. It just felt right to say that. I don't know why I did it, but it felt right.
Yeah, it worked. It would have worked. We didn't have one more Marvel story. We didn't have one more Marvel story to talk about. That would have been good. But RDJ as Doom.
Take it to the bank. Send it to the internet.
The other thing that also kind of leaked out of Comic-Con, I'm sure we'll get it in full, like 4K and all that other fun stuff in a couple of weeks. The Fantastic Four first trailer for now officially the title Fantastic Four First Steps, and very much getting a Captain America First Avenger vibe from it. And I am all for that. I imagine at the end of the film, the Fantastic Four will be frozen in stasis or sent forward in time or something like that. But clearly taking place in the late 60s, early 70s. We got a first glimpse at Galactus. And just digging the vibe. The trailer seemed to more heavily focus on Reed and Ben.
There's no trailer yet, Ray. This is leaked footage from Comic-Con.
Footage from Comic-Con. Yes.
The leaked footage from Comic-Con.
Yes. But all looking forward to it. And I think that this will be a good setup, and then they'll eventually bring the Fantastic Four into the main universe. Cannot wait for that. Because they also did some stuff for Thunderbolts. We know that's coming. And I think the Marvel universe is turning a corner. I think they're getting back on track. All for it. Absolutely. My phone continues to blow up because of the trade deadline.
There's trades happening. Oh my God!
So
Yankees.
I think I mentioned already. My one friend's like, "Oh man, we traded Caleb Ferguson." I'm like, "Yes, you dolt. That happened an hour and a half ago."
I'm
But
live
anyway.
broadcasting on a podcast right now, simultaneously doing this,
stop,
and you're
stop,
texting me. You dare
stop.
text me?
Stop texting me old news. Anyway, but yeah, so Fantastic Four, cannot wait to see that in its glory. But the leaked footage from Comic-Con has me excited. Yeah, Lee, any thoughts on Fantastic Four?
I feel like the MCU feels a little bit back on its game here. Like it was feeling lost there for a while. I think that Deadpool and Wolverine gave us the feeling we had been missing for a while there. I feel like some of these decisions of changing Kang Dynasty to Doomsday, to consolidate things, to kind of say, hey, look, these are the things you should be focused on. It feels like the MCU of the past a little bit more right now. Again, the one thing about RDJ, whether you're bitching or love it, I don't know anybody who's uncomfortable with him. Like, oh, it's good to have him back. It feels good. It was good to see Chris Evans in Deadpool and Wolverine. Other things too. Remember, what's it called? It's coming up. What's her name all along?
Oh, Agatha.
That's what I said. Agatha all along's coming. Also, Thunderbolts was very clearly represented at Comic-Con, which is good because they're basically saying, look, you're gonna be rewarded now for all the stories that you've been following. Like, we're consolidating. All right. I appreciate the Thunderbolts thing, right? Because that's 6 or 7 shows and movies coming together. And as a fan, it's like, look, you're gonna be rewarded. Okay, you will be rewarded here. I have no idea how they're gonna get away from Kang. All right.
I think they should have Robert Downey Jr. kill all the Council of Kangs in the first thing he does in Doomsday.
I think that's what's gonna happen. The brilliance of that scene now is they're all in one place.
Yep.
You just have to show up and zap them away.
Yeah,
that's the end of that.
Yep.
Don't beat up a lady next time. Fantastic Four looks like a lot of fun. It looks like a lot of fun.
Yep.
But they did a good job here, man. And like I said, just the reorganization. They needed a big Comic-Con this year, and they needed it to work well.
Yes.
And they totally did. Surprisingly, Ray, switching out of the MCU, we have some not negative DC kind of stuff here. By the way, DC, before we jump into it, redid their logo again, and they did it right.
The movie studio logo is now the DC Studios logo is now the logo that was on the comics for basically our lives growing up, from like the 60s through the 90s until they were like, we need to add a swish to it. We need to do this. Don't fix something that's not broken.
Yeah, Marvel never did that.
Marvel's logo has been the same for 70 years.
Yeah, they might have gotten rid of the big M, but the Marvel was always there. Look, they went back to the classic kind of. I'll just say the Death of Superman logo because that's probably the fulcrum point for everybody.
Yes. Yeah.
And by the way, for those of you who don't know, the old logo was kind of the D with the page kind of turn, which that was the old movie logo, right? The D, and then there's like a.
I think that was most of the comment. It's DC in a circle with like 4 stars.
Yeah,
real simple.
I'm saying the old DCU logo was the D with the. Off.
Yeah.
Okay, and
that's right.
It was mildly clever, but it's like, what the hell are you doing, right? Like that's not DC Comics. Well, we're not DC Comics. We're DC movies. You're the same thing, you morons. All right. That's the one thing the MCU has always understood, even in their misses, even in Marvel's misses in the MCU, they are somewhat comic accurate.
Yeah.
All right. Like Eternals, which they're never going to go back to. Somewhat comic accurate. They still didn't screw that part of it up. DC, let's give Batman guns and let's have him have guns and then he can shoot at Superman. And, well, he'll have guns. What are you thinking? Now, we're past that. I do believe that this logo coming back is heavily being influenced by our friend who's making the new movies. All right.
Oh, James Gunn?
I think James Gunn was like,
this was his. I think this was 100% his.
You want to get people excited? This is 100%. A starting point. Put that logo back up there. But Batman, Cape Crusader came out.
Is coming out. Later this week.
Thoughts, Ray?
So they had a panel at Comic-Con, and the whole series will be dropping on Amazon Prime. I'm still very excited for this series. Everything I'm seeing from it makes me excited. There was a lot of backlash on the internet over this, of course, and again, my approach is wait and see. Wait and see. wait and see. Basically, they announced that Minnie Driver, the legendary actress, is going to be playing the voice of the Penguin, and that it will not be Oswald Cobblepot, it will be Oswalda, and that the Penguin will be a female penguin.
This is multiverse.
This is, I mean, yeah, this is
Infinite Crisis.
This is a different universe, right? The Cape Crusaders taking place. Yeah.
So anybody who complains about that, anyone who complains about that, you have to immediately say that you don't like Miles Morales Spider-Man.
Sure.
You have to because Doc Ock is a woman in that, so you can't complain about this and not about that.
Yeah, it's a different universe, completely different take on the characters. Yeah, I mean, I think you could have gone. I don't know. I don't think you had to call her Oswalda. I think you could have come up with something better than that. But yeah, it's whatever. Let's see how she does. Like, again, maybe look, maybe there's a lot of aspects that are going to suck, and then we can definitely tear it apart. But like, we don't know yet. All we know about
just need a win. We need a win for Batman right now.
Yeah, definitely. And like, we're talking about all the wrong things with this show right now, and that's not good.
I mean, the fact that some of the things, and again, this is me being 40, but like I'm starting to see stuff from like 90s Batman films, like Happy Meals and clips, and even like Batman and Robin, Batman Forever, like has a little bit of rosy color to it now. Like, oh yeah, I kind of miss that.
Yeah, I mean,
you know
I mean, look, I will say this. I get it. It does feel like an unnecessary change for the Penguin.
Well,
like it just, but it's one of those things where it's also like if you get Minnie Driver to do something and she wants to play the Penguin, you figure, like, so I don't know. It doesn't. It doesn't bother me either way. Like I don't know. Like,
I'm just gonna say on the note I just said too. This is totally off the side. I do believe. Actually, let's do a little sidetrack here real quick. Of the original 4 Batman movies, so that's Batman, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin.
Right.
I've maintained that Batman Forever, follow me here, from a story-only standpoint, was actually the best film. Not by portrayals, not by actors, not by the crazy 90s, Gotham City. But the story of Batman Forever to me was the most complex and interesting story of the duality of Bruce Wayne and Batman. My second pick would be the original Batman, but that's a pretty
89.
It's a pretty black and white. You killed my mother. My name is Ignia Montoya. You killed my mother, prepare to die. You killed my father, prepared to die. Like that's what that story was, right?
Yeah.
It didn't really dive into who Batman was to the city, and
Well, that's the thing, but it's also like very in a weird way, almost year one, where he's still kind of establishing
it's an
himself.
Origin story. But like, look, I've maintained this too. Like Rocky 3 is actually my favorite Rocky story, right? Now, Rocky 1 is great.
I agree
with
that.
But it's an origin story, right? Rocky 3 is actually, and everyone loves Rocky 4, but Rocky 4 is kind of a crazy story, right? Rocky 3 is actually the most realistic boxing story they had.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
He's a champion, he loses, he's scared. Like that was a good story. But I love Batman Forever because of the duality. I mean, he has a therapist in that movie. And that the decision that I am both Bruce Wayne and Batman at the end.
Right.
I was like, wow, this is like really deep. But it's the 90s, so we can't be deep because everything's hunky-dory.
Right.
So here's Jim Carrey. Oh yeah, we changed Two-Face to another actor that happens to be a different race. No big deal. That was miscast horribly.
That was that like I love Tommy Lee Jones, but
I do too.
They should have just stuck with Billy D. Williams. They should have just stuck with him.
Yeah. But do you disagree with me that Batman Forever, one of the best stories Batman's ever had? Story only. Again.
I mean, it's not original, right? Like the duality of Batman is not an original idea.
I'm not saying original. I'm talking about just in the films that were made.
Right.
And keep in mind too, Robin is introduced in that film too. That was well done. Really well done.
Sure.
Like I don't think Chris, whatever his name is.
I think that movie tried to do too much. I think there was, again, I think this was the problem with the last 2 movies, is they jammed way too much stuff. Not to say there were bad ideas. I mean, there were bad ideas in Batman and Robin, but it was not to say they were bad ideas in Batman Forever. But I think they tried to do too much for one film, and it got bogged down by the Robin origin story, the duality of Batman, the Riddler origin story, Two-Face's I mean, again,
they just ignored Two-Face. They didn't
the
even
duality, the lack of duality for Two-Face. Yeah, like
what happened? He put a manila folder on his face and became Two-Face. It's like, what? Anyway, Batman needs a win. That was the point we were making.
Yes, and again, I think we're talking about the wrong thing here with the Cape Crusader show. I hope it's good. It comes out later this week. There's a good chance I will binge it over the weekend.
Yeah, me too.
I'm curious to see what they do with this female penguin. I see. Here's my thing too: is like they could have avoided all of this because you knew they had to know that there was going to be this backlash, right? You could have avoided all of this if you had just kind of gone maybe more and been like, well, the penguin is a title and it's a completely different character as a woman as the penguin.
Right, that's brilliant.
Right?
You just said,
Because they've done that before. They did that with the ventriloquist in the comics, like the original ventriloquist, Arnold Wesker dies, and then somebody else finds Scarface and she kind of goes crazy and she becomes the ventriloquist. Like, it just feels like you could have had, I think that would have been a better idea where like you have a capo or a Don as a mafia boss. Well, now you have a penguin. Right. And you could have had a female penguin, but it's a title and it's a completely different character. And I think you could have avoided the people getting, because again, it's not like it's because we've had alternate universes where there is what they call, the gender bend, right? Where you've had all of the male characters are female and all the female characters are male, right?
Yeah.
Like we've had that before.
The Boys does a really good job with that, by the way. They've transitioned a lot of male characters to female perfectly.
Yeah. And like you could absolutely have done that. And I feel like, my fear is that this could be just lazy, right? That this could be just we just made her a woman, and that's it.
Well, we'll see. It all comes down to performance. It's an opportunity for Mimi Driver. We'll see what happens. And look, I like what you said about the Penguin being a title, but I'm going to be honest with you, Ray. Like, I just don't give a shit. I don't know why people give a shit. Like, it was like when the Little Mermaid was like black, and people were like, she can't be black. I'm like, she's.
It's a mermaid. It's a fictional mermaid.
There's no racial.
And that's the problem. And that's really the core of the issue is that all the folks who are getting mad on the internet are really just wasting their life energy.
We don't have to make everything about race and gender. It's like just shut the F up and enjoy. You live in
everything's a culture war. Everything must be a fight.
It doesn't the reason I say that too is because there's actually legit things with gender and race to discuss that we ignore in the face of an animated film.
Yes.
Shut up.
The penguin is not real, ladies and gentlemen.
What?
I know it took me years.
I'm going to call Danny DeVito, and we're going to.
It took me years to realize it, Lee, to understand that my life was illusion. I have.
You've been the penguin.
I'll say this: I like Minnie Driver, but I should have been cast as the penguin. So
listen, I don't understand the anger. I don't understand any of the people being disgruntled about it. Like I honestly don't look at that and go like, oh, I don't do that. It's like I honestly don't care.
Yeah. We're at a point where we know that our energy is better spent on things that actually matter. So
this is a great time to remind all of you to vote.
Yep.
It's November 5th. You have a decision. It's the most important election of your lifetime until the next one, and you need to go vote this November 5th. God bless you all.
Speaking of voting, SAG-AFTRA has voted to go on strike again. Yeah, that was an easy one. Thank you, sir. Basically, I'm surprised they didn't do this when the original strike was going on against the film industry, but SAG-AFTRA has started a new strike against the video game industry, and understandably so, because they have been taking advantage of voiceover and voice actors for a long time. And there really isn't a general agreement for video games and new media in general. And also partially, this is also because the video game industry in itself hasn't really properly unionized. You're starting to see it bits and pieces here or there, little by little. But again, unions are good. Protecting people is good. Billion-dollar companies should pay people more money for services rendered. And that's what this is coming down to. Obviously, it's more, making sure voice actors have breaks, make sure that there's safety precautions when they're forced to do mocap, things of that nature. And I feel bad I have a lot of friends who are doing video games right now, and they can't talk about the games because of the strike. But at the same time, I'm also extremely jealous because they are in video games. But But this
the
is a good
gaming
thing.
industry's loss, my friend. Believe me.
This is a good thing. This is a good thing in the long run. And the video game industry needs to the CEOs at the top of the video game industry need to be punched in the mouth, and they need to understand that again, we talk about this a lot, the unprecedented growth they had in the pandemic is over now because the pandemic is over, and they need to grow up and they need to understand that, like, stop wasting money on dumb stuff and pay your people what they're worth. Because in the long run, look at what Nintendo's doing. When things go bad for Nintendo, their CEOs take pay cuts. They don't fire people. And then Nintendo comes out of it and now they're making record profits again. Oh, because the people they invested in now are making these amazing video games that everybody loves.
I don't know what you're talking about,
Ray.
What
a concept!
I would never do that, Ray. Take care of your employee. What a novel concept, taking care of the people that take care of you.
What an idea. Holy shnikes. Oh, but yeah, this is a good thing. Stand with SAG-AFTRA. Video game industry, get your head out of your collected asses.
Yeah. Well, and look, here's the other thing too. I'll say this, right? And this is what's funny. This is after they're doing this after the film industry.
Right. Again, they should have done it together, in my opinion.
I like to bring this up to our audience, Ray. They're doing this after the film industry. Ray, please tell people the stat once again, the size of the gaming industry versus the film industry. This actually is being done backwards.
Yes. The gaming industry last year made $181 billion.
What was that number again, my friend?
181 billion.
Did you say million with an M?
Billion with a B. With a B. So, and that's more than the music, movie, and movie industries and every major sports league combined. It's MLB, NBA, NFL, NHL, MLS. Music,
pro
movies.
Archery.
Yeah.
Throw that
sure,
in
throw archery in there. Sure. Why not?
You can throw a few more sports in WNBA.
I'm sure you can throw a few, WNBA. Yeah, like
you can throw a few more things in there.
And the gaming industry still made more money last year than all of those combined.
Yep. So SAG-AFTRA doing it right, but hopefully this starts to right the ship a little bit, buddy. That industry's not going anywhere.
No.
They're losing people quick.
Yes. Including me.
I want to say it, man. Deadpool and Wolverine was one of the best films and most fulfilling experiences I have ever experienced in a theater, and I'm so thankful that lived up to the hype.
Yes,
and I probably will see it again because there are so many holy shit moments in the film that it's almost tough to sit still and like see everything that's going on. But even in watching some of the clips again that are being leaked, it's like, oh, that's really like you see it again with even more reverence. And like the last film that I remember doing that, Ray, was probably Endgame. Like obviously the Avengers Assemble scene. Like I probably watched that a few hundred times, that scene.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And it never gets, I still watch it when it comes on.
Yeah.
All right. Like this movie felt like that, especially when Wolvie and Deadpool are fighting all the Deadpool Corps. I mean, that was pretty amazing.
That was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So the music, how they used the soundtrack. I mean, from the beginning to the end, it
was nearly perfect.
Yeah.
It was paced well, unlike Acolyte. So what's next, Ray? Before we close up, what is the next thing coming out? Is it Agatha?
It's for Marvel. It's Agatha.
That's in general. Like Star Wars doesn't have anything coming anytime soon. And
well, I'm not going to see it in theaters, but the Borderlands movie, which of course is based on a game, I'll wait for that to hit Netflix.
Yeah, that's not big enough for me.
Beetlejuice, the new Beetlejuice sequel in September.
That's exciting. Yeah, I'll give you that.
I'm excited about that for sure.
Yeah.
I think September, October, you're going to see some big stuff starting with that.
Yeah.
For sure. You got the new Aliens movie in a couple of weeks.
Great.
New Alien.
I wonder what happens in that film.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing as the first Alien.
I wonder obviously
the face huggers hatch.
No,
and then
obviously
attached to people's faces.
The humans will be the main characters that you really, really care about. This time, you're going to care about them, and the alien's going to be kind of like a sideshow.
Yeah. Oh my
God. No.
God.
This one's different. No, it's not. No, it's not. No. This they changed this thing and it's different. No, it's not.
No.
I look. I'm a fan of Xenomorphs like anybody else, but you haven't changed anything. The only film that ever was fun to watch was Prometheus because it's interesting and it's not really aliens. It just is a prequel to Aliens. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. I appreciated that film, but since then, no.
Nope. No, yes, I guess the big thing would probably be, I mean, I might binge Cape Crusader, but yeah, movie wise, it's Beetlejuice. Yeah,
or Beetlejuice
absolutely.
2, for those of you who don't want to say Beetlejuice twice.
Yeah, Beetlejuice. So, looking forward to that. Yeah, and then Agatha, and then I feel like there's a couple other things coming out. February is Captain America 4: Brave New World.
That'll be fun, and Thunderbolts is coming too, so we'll see.
Yeah, so. But that's basically it. And that's basically it for us this week, folks.
Oh my God. We'll see you next time on Deadpool and Wolverine Like Sports.
They might like sports. Wolverine likes sports. Here's
a question for you, Ray, before we close this out.
Yeah.
You and me, who's Deadpool and who's Wolverine? I think that's a harder to answer question than you might think on the surface.
I feel like we're both Wolverine.
I feel like I have a lot of Deadpool in me.
Yeah, I have some Deadpool too.
Yeah,
it's the problem.
I talk too much. I make a severe amount of pop references from my day.
I do too.
All right, and
I literally crack jokes now. I literally go on stage. And,
I feel like I'm pretty witty. I mean, I have the Wolverine body, but
yeah,
I guess
I have the Wolverine Berserker rage.
Berserker barrage.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
Will you grace us all with a Berserker barrage?
Berserker barrage.
Thank you. It was worth it. Okay. Goodbye.
All right. Yeah. No. Let us know what you guys think. Who's more Deadpool? Who's more Wolverine? Comment below.
I'm a little bit Deadpool. He's a little bit Wolverine. You should have done that. Let's go viral.
Oh my goodness.
So that's that Deadpool thing that I did there. That's
that is a very Deadpool thing, and my reaction was very Wolverine. Like, oh God. All right, for Baby Pool, for Lee, I'm Ray. Stay tuned for the mashup later this week, folks. It'll be fun. But until then, this has been Geeks Who Like Sports. Good night, everybody.
Bye.